Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, co-author of Conversations with Top Real Estate Investors Volume 3, Munira Zahabi.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira from Munira's Musings. We are joined today here by an inspiration and aspiration that I have, Chris Robinson. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Munira, how are you today?
I'm good. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, my name is Chris Robinson. For those of you that don't know me, I am the Executive Vice President of the John Maxwell team, the largest coaching, speaking, training company around. And I've had the privilege to speak, coach, and train myself over the past 9 years, and I've been able to impact and influence people's lives. And so I've been able to travel the world, doing what I love to do, which is impact and influence people. But more importantly, I'm the father of 6. I've got kids, 6 children. I've got triplets, twins, and a single. So the triplets are 11, the single is 7, and then 3.5-year-old twins. And so
Wow.
we got a
Girls,
lot going
boys?
on. 3 boys, 3 girls. For years, for over 3 years, my wife and I had attempted to have children, and we were actually told that we couldn't have children, but we continued on with the fertility process, and we ended up having the triplets first, and then didn't do any other treatments, and had the single and the twin. So we were trying for one, and we've got 5 others for free.
Awesome. So tell us how you became an executive vice president of John Maxwell team.
Yeah, well, it's an incredible story because, I started out many years ago, and I was actually a beginning salesperson, an entry-level salesperson inside of an organization that was growing really fast. I was employee number 18 when I had left 5 years later, 6.5 years later. We had over 800 employees, and I was number 5 on the totem pole there. But I knew as employee number 18 that I wanted to stand out, and I knew that the company was going to grow, and I wanted to position myself to become a leader inside the organization. Now, all things being equal, on paper, I could sell with the best of them, but what was going to be the separator for me? Because I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have anything else, and so I knew that I had to begin to work on myself in order to position myself for those promotions. So at that time, I was attending a church that had offered a course by John Maxwell, the 21 Laws of Leadership, on VHS. And so I decided I was going to take this course at this church. And each and every single week, I would go inside the classroom. I would watch a VHS of John Maxwell. I would go in there with my notepad and my pen. I would take notes, and then I would go back into the workplace and apply the principles. Now, I began to stand out because of the application of these principles. Yes.
Let me interrupt you for a second, because most of our viewers don't know what a VHS is.
That's right.
What is a VHS?
Yeah, the VHS is that old tape player, that you used to stick a tape in to watch a video. It was pre-DVD. That's what it was. So I was doing that, and I was going back into the workplace, and I was applying the principles, and I began to stand out. And John Maxwell's principles really gave me the foundation to stand out as a leader. Now, taking one course didn't qualify me or make it the ultimate thing for me to stand out. I took every single course that church offered for over a year they offered from John Maxwell. And then at the end of it, they said, well, Chris, you've taken every single class. You've been promoted on your job. Would you like to be the facilitator? And I said, indeed, I love to be the facilitator. What does that consist of? They said, well, Chris, when you come inside the classroom, press play. And when you're done, turn off the lights. And so it wasn't a big deal. But what it did was it allowed for me to go back in the classroom and hear that information again and hear it at a different level. And so what I believe happens for most people when they get an opportunity to hear something for the second time, we can tend to say the most dangerous words on the planet. The most dangerous words on the planet are, I've heard that before. Now, the biggest gap in most of our lives is between what we know and what we actually do. And so instead of saying to yourself, I've heard that before, you really need to change that to a question and ask yourself, how well do I do that? And so I was going back inside the classroom. I still had my notepad out. I had my pen out. I was turning on the VHS. I was turning out the lights. I was going back to the workplace, and I was applying the principles, and I continued to get promoted on the job. Well, couple years later, I ended up attending a conference, and this was a big step because now I was really into this personal growth stuff. And I went to this conference, and it was at the Georgia Dome, which was the former stadium, that they played football in Atlanta. And it was filled with speakers that weekend, and it was a personal growth event. And I remember going into this vendor hall and seeing this stage. And on this stage, they were having a speaker showcase. Now, a speaker showcase is kind of like a fashion show for speakers. They come out, they've got 3 to 5 minutes to give their very best presentation, get on the stage, get off the stage. And, these speakers, they had books, they had CDs, but something special happened that day. At the end of that, they said that, these people get paid to speak. And I thought, oh my goodness, I never heard such a thing in my life. This was the first time that I had ever heard this in my life, that people get paid to speak. And now I ran back there as fast as I possibly could. I got back there, they said, we'd love to tell you all about it. There's a 3-day boot camp for $997. I said, $997 for a 3-day boot camp? No. You see, at that point in life, I didn't understand how to develop, and I didn't understand that that was an opportunity for me to move the direction that I wanted to go. But I did do what I knew to do, and I went back home, and I began to get books. I began to get CDs. I began to participate inside of the Toastmasters and work on the art and skill of speaking. I began to take my job a little bit more seriously when it came to training inside the workplace. And, eventually I left that organization. I started my own business, doing some consulting, and how I began to build that business was through speaking. But in 2011, I got a tweet from John Maxwell that he was offering certification for the very first time. And I knew at that moment, I said, I don't know what that is. It's either a competition where you're going to compete to be a part of John Maxwell's team, or it's going to be a paid program. I do not care. I'm going to be one of the top coaches in that program. I'm going to make it. It turned out to be a certification program that you pay a fee for, but I joined in March of 2011, attended my first certification with John Maxwell in August of 2011. I built a business utilizing the tools and resources they made available to us. I was asked to be a part of the very first President's Advisory Council for John Maxwell team. I became one of our first peer teaching partners. I was the first to be hired as a faculty member from the team. From there, I became president of the faculty. And 1 year later, I become the executive vice president, or, filling in the role as president of the John Maxwell team. So we have over 33,000 coaches around the world. And, by God's grace and by, just consistent, diligent pursuit of a dream to help people, I get a chance to lead the largest leadership training company on the planet today.
That's an awesome story. Make it sound like it's a smooth sailing.
Yeah.
But was it really?
No, it was absolutely not smooth sailing at all. It was anything but smooth sailing. I mean, if we go back to when I got the tweet, I made the choice, but it was despite circumstances, because, what you have to understand about that point in time when I got that tweet, I was $180,000 in debt. I did not have the money to join the program. At that time, the program was $5,000, for the certification itself. And I remember the very first phone call was, hey, it's $5,000, it's a $1,000 deposit. Hey, but if you pay in full, you'll get a chance to go to John Maxwell's house. And again, I knew, hey, this is a moment that I want to make that happen. I want to go to John's house. So I'm on the phone with the program advisor, and I say, well, hey, I've got the $1,000 deposit, but I need to move some things around, and to pay in full. And how many days could you give me if I need to move some things around? Now, move some things around was code for where in the world am I going to come up with this money? Because I did not have it, okay? I didn't have the $1,000. I had that as a savings. And look, I gave my all just to get started. And so, one, I had the support of my wife who understood my calling. So I was $108,000 in debt. I had given up a home for foreclosure. This was coming out of the 2009 financial bubble. I had turned in cars. What I understood was that I was able to buy all this stuff in my 20s. And if I held on to it or tried to hold on to that stuff, that was going to be my pinnacle, not my stepping stone. So I had to make this choice. I had to make a serious choice this time that I was not going to care what my path to success looked like to other people. And so many times people will hold on to their stuff. It prevents them. And that stuff is really an anchor that's holding you back from your freedom. So I said, hey, I'm going to let that stuff go. I'm going to let the house go. I'm going to let the cars go. And I'm going to be in pursuit of this dream. And I can tell you, I was able to get all the stuff back. But what I couldn't have got back was the time or the commitment that I had made, to really pursue a dream. And so, I can name you struggle after struggle. And what I want to tell people is like, look, there was failure all along the way, but it's not failure on the left and success on the right. It's dream, struggle, success. Failure is in front of you, and it's okay to fail. It's just a matter of, do you have the ability to get back up, change, look at it, adapt, and say, hey, that's the result that I got. That's not the result that I wanted. What can I do differently now in order to keep moving forward?
So did you have to tweak, try, repeat, tweak, try?
You couldn't say it any better, Munira. You had to tweak, try, repeat, tweak, try, repeat. And you have to consume yourself with doing it until it works. Because that's the biggest difference between the average person and the above average person. The average person can focus for a period of time. We've all heard the phrase or acronym, follow one course until successful. But when people say, hey, I want to focus on this. Hey, I'm going to focus on this for the next 90 days. I'm going to focus on this for the next 30 days. The average person can do that. But the above average person goes from focused to fixated. Now, fixation or being fixated goes from I'm going to do this from a time period to I'm going to do this until it works. And that was the commitment that I made to this dream, is that, hey, I'm going to dedicate my life to this. I'm not going to dedicate the next 90 days. I'm not going to dedicate the next 6 months. I'm going to dedicate my life to impacting people, and I'm going to do it until it works. And today, I'm living the dream of speaking, coaching, training, impacting lives each and every single day. But by no means was it easy. There was so much struggle along the way.
So right now we are in the COVID crisis. Which coach resonates with you?
The role of a coach is to extract the knowledge from you, to ask you questions, to guide you and direct you in a way that is going to help you get to where you want to go. But the first thing that I look for in a coach is I primarily look for mentoring and in a combination of coaching, because I'm looking for someone that has gone down the path that I want to go. So the first thing that I look at is, hey, do they have the results that I'm looking for? Do they have the results that I'm looking for? The second thing that I'm looking for inside of a coach is, what type of proximity can I have to that coach? Am I going to be able to be in with a group session with them? Am I going to be able to get in one-on-one with them? Do they have books, tools, or resources that I could tap into? So I want a combination of all those things. And look, the larger that the mentor is or the coach is, the access may be more limited, but there's 2 ways to get a mentor or coach in your life. 2 ways: seek to serve or pay to play. seek to serve, or pay to play. So I can talk to you about an early mentor in my life. One of the first things I did when I decided I wanted to become a speaker was that I looked on Google. I went to Google. I typed in Google, professional speaker, leadership speaker, St. Louis. I looked up every speaker that I could find in the St. Louis area. I picked up the phone, called each one, and said, "Hi, my name's Chris Robinson. I'm wanting to learn a little bit more about speaking. If you have any events that I can volunteer at, I would love to come out and be a volunteer for any of your events. Thank you for your consideration." Called every single one that I could find. I got one call back. 2 days later, I get a call that her cameraman has canceled. Now, I don't know anything about cameras. It's funny, I happen to have one here, and this wasn't even prompted. But she said to me, "Chris, will you be my cameraman?" I said, "Absolutely, I'd be your cameraman." I didn't know anything about it, but I was looking for a way to serve her and be around someone that was doing what it was that I wanted to do. So I drive about an hour away from my home. I go down there, I grab her bags, I grab the camera, and I mean, I tell you what, I'm just there to serve her. Now, not let me tell you what I'm going to do, who I'm going to become, none of that. Mouth closed, ready to serve. Now, I get the camera set up, and I'm jerking around from left to right. And then at lunchtime, she says, "Chris, thank you so much for serving me." She goes, "Do you have any questions for me?" I said, "Indeed, I do." I had my notepad and I had my pen ready, and I had 25 questions prepared for time with this mentor. So here's the thing that you have to also understand about mentorship or about coaching is that you want to prepare for the moment, but you don't want to push for the moment. Because oftentimes we'll get around great coaches, we'll get around great mentors, but we are not asking quality questions. You see, the quality of the questions that you ask determine the quality of the answers that you receive. And then she said, "Well, Chris, I've got to speak again tomorrow. Would you like to come back?" I said, "Absolutely. I'd love to come back." I came back the next day. I grabbed her bags. I set up the camera, jerked it left to right. We got to lunch. I had my pen. I had my paper. I asked my questions. Then afterwards, she says, "Chris, I don't know why I want to do this, but I want to give you the opportunity to speak today." She says, "I want you to select a slide that I spoke about yesterday or today. I want to give you 5 minutes on stage. Are you up for the challenge?" I said, "Indeed." I go up there. I spoke for 5 minutes. She was ear to ear. But in that moment, and since then, she became one of the greatest mentors for me to help me go further, faster. But I achieved that mentor by seeking to serve. Now, the other way is to pay to play. Now, I missed the opportunity years ago for $997, to do a 3-day boot camp. But when the opportunity with John Maxwell came, that was an opportunity that I had to pay to play. And so for some mentors, you're going to have to spend money to be in the room. And what I love about being inside of rooms like that is that everybody in the room is paid thousands of dollars to be in the room. So you're with like-minded people, people that are looking to progress, move forward, make a difference, and they're investing in themselves. And so 2 ways to get a mentor or coach. But the first thing I'm looking for is results. Then I'm trying to determine, do I need to pay to play, or is there a way that I can serve that mentor?
This is so important for self-growth and why we should be taking the opportunity to grow. What do you tell the people who are watching social media and news all the time and movies?
Yeah. Well, it's a way to pass time. Okay. But look, here's what I understand about this scenario that we're in right now. There's only 2 ways that you're going to come out of this scenario. You're either going to be bitter or you're going to be better. And it's a choice either way. So you can sit back and consume news all day long, and it can depress you. You can sit back and you can watch movie after movie, and it can depress you. You can sit back and just flip through Facebook, and you're going to look at other people's quarantine situations and go, "Well, I would be okay if I had their quarantine situation," and it causes us to compare, and you can get depressed. Or what you can do is you can take this time and begin to pick up a book and read. You can take up a situation to get better. You can find something that's going to be uplifting if you're going to watch some television, watch some biographies of people that have overcome odds. This is a time to really focus on getting better. It's a just, but I can tell you, the people that are in active pursuit, that are still moving, they're going to be better on the other side of this. I know the work that I'm doing today is going to pay off when we come out on the other side of this. And I know, and I've made the commitment that I'm going to be better on the other side of this. So it's a choice. What are you going to do today? How are you going to get better?
Those people who are seeking a coach, you said, go ahead, go look for a coach who has followed the path that you want to go. Take that path, follow them, seek to serve and play. And then, and my question then is for those, so how do you, what is the first thing they can do?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the beautiful thing about the time that we're in is that we now have Google. Okay, so during this time, if you're in a pinch and you don't have finances, you don't know how you're going to get paid, the only way that things are going to get better is if you get better. Now, I'm saying this from experience because I was working with, things are going well, and then in one single day, I lost 85% of my income because I had lost my largest client. And I wasn't focused on saving during that time because I was focused on getting rid of the debt. And on that day that I lost that client, I had $12 on this planet. Now, I began to talk to a couple different friends about what I could potentially do. And of course, friends want to protect you. And they say, well, Chris, you know, I know that this coaching and speaking thing, you were doing well at it, but maybe right now you need to go move some boxes overnight. Go work in a warehouse overnight. Well, maybe you need to go do this, or maybe just to make sure that you're getting something. Now, I know that their intentions were correct, and I know that for some people, that's the short-term answer. Well, I'll just go do what I have to go do. But the way that I looked at it is I could spend, let's just say, for example, I went to go do that job for $10, $12 an hour before taxes. I've got to commit 40 hours per week to this in order to just get by. So instead of on that day when I sat there with $12 on this planet, instead of going out and doing what I had to do, I said, I have to get better. So I spent the entire day in that driveway reading. With $12 on this planet, I remember that day so clearly. I sat in my driveway and I said, I'm going to spend the next 40 hours trying to figure out how to make $400 in 1 hour versus giving 40 hours to make $400 and doing something that is irrelevant with the direction that I want to go. So for those of you right now that are at home and you're saying, hey, I don't know where the next check is going to come from. I've lost my job. Look, what I can tell you is figure out the direction that you want to go. Begin to spend all your time, all the resources that you do have on equipping yourself, resourcing yourself to be the better person for that role or vision that you have ahead. Things are only going to get better if you get better. And I can tell you, if you have a little bit of means left, the best thing that you can do is invest in you. You're absolutely worth it.
Awesome. Invest in yourself. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. You've been throwing nuggets around like nobody. What is the last words that you want to tell our viewers?
Yeah, so, guys, if you're listening to this call, you're here because of Munira, and I would encourage you, if you're seeking to grow and develop and you're looking for guidance of how can you grow, be sure to reach out to Munira and contact her about how she can help you, support you during this time. She's a John Maxwell team member, and she's been certified, she's been equipped, she's been resourced, and I can tell you that she's an individual that I know that can truly help you grow to where you want to go. So I'd say reach out to you, Munira.
Thank you so much. And I know there's so many people out there. I hear every day people have been laid off. The one book that made a difference in my life was the 15 Laws of Growth.
Yeah. And
that every time I read that, I've read that 7 times, and every time I read it, it changes me. It's like I'm polishing a piece of silver, and a bit of tarnish gets away.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yes, I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for being a mentor, a teacher, a friend in this crisis. And I appreciate the time you have with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook